everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you've all been safe after the storms we've been having. I hope they haven't affected you too badly. If you love all things to do with history, whether it's people from the past, whether it's fashion, whether it's medicines, whether it's a little bit of torture, whatever floats your boat, you're going to find it here. And in today's video number 5, we're going to be talking about King Edmund I, also known as Edmund the Elder or Edmund the Magnificent. So grab yourselves a drink, get comfortable as we travel back in time. Edmund the Elder or Edmund the Magnificent was born in around 922, and he was born to King Edward the Elder and his third wife Edgiva. If you're not new around here, you will know that my pronunciation sucks and it ain't going to get any better, so sorry. There's not much known about Edmund's childhood. We can only assume that he would have received the same education as his brothers and sisters. But what we do know, at the age of 16, he fought with distinction at the Battle of Brunanburh alongside his half-brother King Athelstan. And then at the age of 18, upon Athelstan's death in 939, Edmund succeeded the throne. Do you mind? That's a very noisy bird. Edmund was then coronated on the 1st of December in 939, and almost immediately after his coronation he was faced with a threat from Olaf Guthrundsson. Oh yes, the man who does not like warm hugs is back. After the death of Athelstan, Olaf seized the city of York again. And along with the support of the renegade Wulfstan, who was the Archbishop of York, they made their way to the Midlands. Edmund had then besieged Olaf and Wulfstan at the city of Leicester in 941. And there's hardly anything known about whether there was a battle, we can assume there probably was a battle, but we don't really know much what went on. What we do know is that there was a treaty was negotiated, and the terms were agreed by both. Now the terms was that Olaf was pretty much forced to agree to Edmund's overlordship. So the agreement was that Edmund would continue to rule the south, whilst Olaf was to keep the possession of the area north of Watling Street. And also on these terms was that on the death of either, the survivor would then inherit the whole country. Fortunately for Edmund, this was to go towards his favour, as the following year Olaf was killed whilst raiding what is now the Scottish borders in 943. Olaf Guthrundsson was succeeded as the King of Yorksvik, or York, by Olaf Strigsson. What is it with Olafs? They really love the name Olaf. I wonder if he liked warm hugs. Probably didn't. Anyway, upon Olaf's death, Edmund immediately marched north to reclaim York and Northumbria. And it's also happened along the way. He was just, he and his men was marching off towards York and Northumbria to reclaim it back, and he managed to quash a Welsh revolt. Just as you do, you know, just going along, minding your own business. Edmund had drove out Olaf Strykson, and Ragnall Gruthwinsson, who was contesting the Strykeson's wool. It's getting confusing. From there, Edmund then continued to north to conquer Strathclyde, whose ruler was the renegade Donald or Dunmail, who had sided with Olaf and his supporters. Strathclyde and Cumbria was then restored to Malcolm I of Scotland on the condition of Edmund's overlordship of England. Edmund had married twice. His first wife was Alfgifu of Shaftesbury. And this marriage produced 3 children, 1 daughter and 2 sons, Edwy and Edgar, who would both later go on to succeed the throne. Then after the death of sorry you can hear that. That's my cat having a very mad 5 minutes, and he's running into everything going. After the death of Alfgifu in 944, she was then canonized by the church and becoming Saint Alfgifu, foundress of Shaftesbury Abbey in Dorset. After this, Edmund then married for the second time to Ethelfled of Damerham, and this marriage didn't produce any children. Edmund also played a part in restoring King Louis IV back to the French throne. Louis was Edmund's nephew. Louis was the son of Edmund's half-sister, Edgifu. You know what my pronunciation's like, it's not great. I'm really trying. And Charles the Simple of France. In the summer of 945, Louis was captured by the Norsemen of Rohan and was then released to Duke Hugh the Great. What a name, Hugh the Great, who then held Louis in captivity. Edgifu had written to her brother pleading for his help in having her son restored. Edmund had sent messengers to Duke Hugh the Great, pressuring him to release Louis. Hugh, who was the Duke of the Franks, then restored Louis back to the throne. Edmund's promising reign was cut suddenly and violently short, only after 6 years. On the festival among the Anglo-Saxon people, the Feast of St. Augustine, on the 26th of May in 946, Edmund attended Mass in Puckle Church in Gloucestershire. And I had a look. Well, when I say I had a look, I asked my husband to have a look for me because he's better at geography than I am. So he had a look where it was, and it is in Gloucestershire, but it's more like at the far end of Gloucestershire. It's more on its on the borders. I think I'm getting this way. It's more on the borders between Gloucestershire and Bristol. So it's right at the far end. Anyway, it was during this mass at Puckle Church that Edmund had become angered when he spotted an outlaw named Leofa, who he had expelled from the kingdom a few years earlier for his crimes unknown. We don't know anything about what crimes he had committed. But there's a few different reports of what supposedly happened. One report was Edmund had one too many wines and was in a bit of a drunken rage when he saw Leofa. And another report was Edmund was angered by Leofa, who had attacked one of his servants, and Edmund had immediately defended his servant. But whatever the real version was, no one had noticed that Leofa had a dagger hidden on him. Leofa had stabbed Edmund in the stomach, and Edmund died almost immediately. Edmund's men then brought down Leofa. He was murdered there on the spot. Edmund was only 25 years old, and if the second report is true, that he leaped to his servant's defense, it really gives you an insight into his character. And he was never given that chance, but he had a really good, promising start. How quickly he brought down Olaf Guthrinson, and he was never given that opportunity. Edmund had left behind 3 children, and his widow Ethelflad was a wealthy widow, and I think she gave a lot back to the church. Edmund's 2 sons were too young to rule, so instead the throne went to his brother Edred, who went on to reign for 10 years. The throne then went to Edmund's sons, the eldest son Edgar, who would go on to become Edgar the Peaceful. Edmund was buried at Glastonbury Abbey in Somerset. A bit of a short video today. Unfortunately, it was only 6 years, and it's just like many kings, even King Edward VI. He died very young. Maybe that wasn't a, dare I say, too bad a thing, because I think he may have been worse than his good old daddy Henry VIII. We don't know. But thank you so much for watching today. I really hope you've enjoyed this short video. I will be back next week with another video. So look after yourselves. Be good. See you all soon. Bye.